gonna be hard to see though. Shit. Okay. Everything may not be your fault, but how you respond is your responsibility. All right, guys. So I haven't talked to majority of people watching this video in a long time. I don't talk to many people. Life's been up and down. I've had some, good moments, some bad moments. I have some great moments recently. I've had a great day today. So something that I love to talk about is accountability. There's a lot of positives, there's a lot of negatives, depending on your perspective. But the main thing we want to talk about, I recently went on vacation. I spent some wonderful time with some friends, family, and my girlfriend. That was great. But I remember there was one night, I was talking to some friends, some very close friends of mine. A lot of respect for these guys, a lot of love for these guys. We were talking about pretty much accountability. I don't think we use the word accountability that much, but we talked about accountability. And I'm someone who's very black or white. Many people would describe me as direct. The main topic today is accountability. I want to share that, yes, that's very important. Whenever you make a mistake, whenever you mess up, whenever you're in the wrong, you need to own up to it. You need to apologize, fix it, do what's right. But I think a lot of people lack the other side of accountability, where it's the positive, to where whenever something goes good, whenever you put in the work, whenever you're disciplined, whenever you're consistent, you can see the growth and the improvement of your actions. Example number one was there was a young man who was dating a young woman, and for some years, the man stepped into a position of providing prior to marriage. I think the main topic we were talking about was life comes with a lot of uncertainties, and we're gonna get into that more. My response to that may not match the average person, and that's what this is all about. I want to see what people think. I want to share my thoughts. I would love for somebody to respond to me, or even give me something to talk about, below. So don't forget, always leave a comment if you can. But back to what I'm saying. Young man, young woman. Man steps into a provider role for years, not months, weeks, years. So he has established that as a standard pretty much. When rainy days come, whatever. As a man, you have an expectation for that woman to step in when you have a rainy day, whenever you can't make ends meet, whenever you can't provide the way that you're providing. I 100% think that woman should step in. If she has her own motion going on, I say motion, but if she has her own thing going on, motion, ability to provide for herself and that man and keep things afloat while that man is figuring out his things, 100%. She should. But in today's world, and even in the past, you can never expect somebody to save you. And I think that's where accountability comes in, is that you can never expect somebody to save you. You have to be able to prepare for those days. Obviously, unexpected things happen. I don't care. Whenever hard times do fall on, you have to figure out, you have to get up the next day and figure it out. Now, obviously, a great thing to help you through those hard times is depend on the Lord, 100%. Depending on the Lord will allow you to get through the hardest of battles. And I want to get into this scenario a little bit more. We were very different on, the solution, or the process that you would take if that was to happen to me, where I had my explanation. A lot of people say, well, I provided for her. Isn't it her turn to provide for me? And yes, but you lose the day that you expect that from an individual. For me personally, I don't think you should ever put yourself in a position to have to depend on another human being, because human beings do unexpected things. So one of the biggest, points where with Drake, you don't know if you get in a car accident, or you get let off from your job, or make a mistake and then you might get a lower position. I don't think you can get demoted, but maybe you have to work less hours. That's something that's also crazy. Imagine having a lifestyle based off of overtime hours is something I would never recommend. Always live a lifestyle and budget based off of guaranteed hours. For me, number one, don't provide for a woman to that extreme prior to marriage. I have a girlfriend. I'm working to build a relationship with her, a God-fearing relationship with her that puts me in a position to where I am the main provider. But don't think for a second that we're not going to work as a team to maximize our potential as a married couple. And then once we can have that agreement, we can say, hey, okay, now it's my time to put on my big boy pants. But at the same time, what you should expect of a woman, which this is dependent on the woman you choose, which is where accountability comes in, is that you can't expect her to step in, but you would hope that she can. But you would hope that whenever you're providing, that woman is saving for that rainy day. So whenever these times do come, you guys aren't looking at each other like, what are we gonna do? But again, you have to take accountability because you chose that woman. Now, some may say, you can't predict that. You might be right. I could be crazy. I personally think you can. But regardless of the scenario, if she says sayonara and leaves you, what is you gonna do? Sit there and cry about it? No. And you understand that, but then some may say, no, you're missing the point. No, there's no other point to be made. Either you pick the woman who gonna reciprocate that effort, or you didn't. Can't blame anyone else. Now we're gonna go into another scenario. Imagine you have a good paying job, right? Let's take trucking, for example. You get an accident. That accident caused you not to be able to do your job. You still have the money to take care of medical bills and the bills. Great individual, prepare for that rainy day. But your woman all of a sudden expects you to figure out the impossible. You can't do trucking with a broken leg. You have a medical issue going, shouldn't be in a road like that. So a lot of women are, regardless of the situation, they're gonna expect you to figure it out. As a man, you want to be in a position to be able to figure it out. But sometimes you get blindsided. Whenever you get those blindsided moments, whenever you have a hard time, one, you have to be prepared, which this individual was prepared. But where he lacked, I guess you could say, preparation, was a situation that he was put in prior to the accident, right? So, for example, if you're in a position where you're 30, 35, you're not married, you have a new individual, or not a new individual, you have somebody that you're working towards marriage. Now, some people are working towards marriage. Are you really working towards marriage? I don't know. But you have to get to know people. And for this individual, a lot of individuals in their life thought this person was the one. Perfect woman, stand up and down, great. But when it came time to be the backbone of the relationship and step in when needed, that didn't happen. And it threw a lot of people, I guess, a curveball. It blindsided them. Whatever you have to say. But you can't sit here and blame others for the situation. Blame the car that hit you. Blame the Lord for what's happened. You really have to be able to grow from the situation. Sometimes you have to take a step back. If that's, moving on your own. If that's moving back with your parents. If that's getting a remote job that forces you to work from home. That may not make that much money, but it still helps and shows effort. Sometimes you have to put your pride to the side. And I think it really is important who you deal with as far as friendships, who you deal with as work, as far as who you give your energy to day to day. Those things are really important. And one thing I can agree with these individuals about is you can't predict the future. You never know how someone will react, how someone will treat you whenever the one thing that they view as value that you provide is removed, But as a man, you can pursue a woman who may not be the 10 out of 10 or may not be the, the model or whatever, but maybe she caters to you regardless of your situation. When you're down, she lifts you up. When you're up, she still lifts you up. That's important. Whenever people are up, you have to give praise to the Lord, and you also have to give your spouse or your partner or even your friends, I don't want to say praise because I just, use the Lord, but support, at those highs and those lows. It's not just good to support somebody when they're low, but you have to have a partner who you can trust to help you, because in this life, finances is not the most important thing. Obviously, money brings happiness or whatever you want to say. But mentally, as a man, there's a lot of stress. It's the same thing for women. But men, we put a lot of stress on ourselves, provide, and become this wonderful man. And you're going to have a time where you might be doing fine financially, but mentally you're just not there. You can't do it. And your woman might be upset with it. She's going to have to step in and help mentally. And sometimes it's financially, obviously, but she might have to help mentally. In relationships, some days you have to give one, they might be getting, it might be 50-50. I'm not talking about financially. It's a 50-50 relationship. Some days you have to get 70-30, 60-40. We even made the conclusion that some days you might have to get 100%, or you might have to get 90% to match their 40%. And you're like, that doesn't equal 100 exactly. But I think for me, the reason why I'm talking about accountability and how, and now all this comes back in is that there's steps made prior to those blindsided moments that obviously you're not going to always choose the right path or the right choice or whatever it is. But you can never, at least in my world, like, I don't know what happened, man. There's nothing I can do. And expect for someone to come save you or push the blame on others, because every decision you make is your fault. That's regardless of if you succeed or you fail, it's your fault. And the main thing that matters out of all this of what I just said is how you respond in that situation. Whenever somebody pisses you off at work and you're already stressed out, you have two choices to make: to lash out, take a deep breath, or walk away. It's really hard. And I struggle with this too, guys. Like, I'm not perfect by any means, but oh shit, I don't know. Mine went kind of blank there. I was kind of just yapping. But I don't know, man. I'll leave you with some value at the end of the day. Keep going, keep grinding. I haven't made a video in a long time, man. I used to love doing this. I think I still do. I'm trying to get back to it. Hopefully you enjoy whatever I put in the background of this. You're gonna see some of me. You're gonna see some of my day. But yeah, man, keep God first. Budget, especially right now, budget. Get a goal, work towards that goal, be disciplined. Be consistent, have self-respect, show up for yourself, and just love yourself, man. Really, love yourself.